What's up, ladies and gents? It is your boy Bacat Sam, and we are back in today for another video. Today's video, I'm going to be ranking brutally all of the Premier League strikers from the 2024-2025 Premier League season. Now, please do smash the like button and please do subscribe because I'm going to tell you something here. I just recorded this for 27 minutes and realised I hadn't turned my microphone on, so we're going to do this again. So please be nice because I want to cry. So we're going to start off straight away at the beginning with Mikel Antonio. So now I'm going to whack him in straight away in okay. I wish him a speedy recovery. I really like him as a striker. I think he's really underappreciated. Now, West Ham speak about the fact that they've always wanted to replace him. There's so many strikers and they simply just can't do it. You know exactly what you're going to get from him. He's a very consistent striker and he's done it now at the top level for quite a while. And I wish him a speedy recovery, as I said, but I'm going to whack him in there straight away. Next, we've got Cameron Archer. Now, get out. That's where we're whacking him in here. He's simply not good enough for the Premier League. And the geared out kind of system here is the system where I think they should just get out of the Premier League. They're not good enough to play at this level. Then we also, we've got world class, unreal, decent, okay, meh, and get out. Yeah, so get out is get out of the league. Cameron Archer is simply not good enough. Now I'm going to skip the next one and go over to my next get out. So get them over and done with. We've got Beto. Now Beto as well is another. Oh geez, Beto is another player that I think isn't good enough for this level. Now I've said it before and I'll say it again. These kind of the players that need to get out of the league, they're simply not good enough. Now Everton, whoever has been in part of their scout network for strikers in the previous years needs to have a long, hard look at themselves in the mirror. The fact that they've signed Beto, Cenk Tosun, Umar Nias, Calvert-Lewin, and then you've got Rondon, you've got all these players that they've had and they've decided are good enough to play as number 9, it's just simply not good enough. So something needs to be looked at there. I know obviously Dominic Calvert-Lewin's come through the ranks at Everton, but he's simply just not good enough. Now, we'll get on to the next one now. Awonyi is the next player. Awonyi, I'm going to whack him in meh. Now, Awonyi on his day can be an incredible player, but he's just never fit. And that's what's really frustrating about him because you think about the fact, I think it was a couple of seasons ago, just before his injury, he was a really decent player for Steve Cooper's men. And you think about you remember him occupying defenders, bringing in players and into play. And you just remember how much carnage he caused, and he used to frighten a lot of defenses, but he just can never stay fit. So we're going to whack him in there because of that. Next, we've got Matheus Cunha, who's probably not really a striker, but he's a forward, so he's in this list that's been created. So we're going to whack him in Unreal. This season, this guy's been a joke, and I think kind of we're seeing the player now that Wolves spent all the money on, and it's the reason why they spent so much money on him. They signed him from Atleti, and there was a big fee and a lot of question marks when he signed us because people spoke about the fact he's a second striker, and he was a little bit confusing. But this season, we've seen kind of the levels that he can actually get to. He's been an absolute joke, bringing other players into play. And not only that, he's also been scoring a lot. I think now, obviously, he's just signed or he's about to sign a new big hefty contract. I think that's going to kind of tie him down for a while, but also allow the Wolves to have a bit of a safety net where they can command and demand quite a big fee. So we'll whack him in Unreal for now. Next, we have got Darwin Núñez. We're going to whack him in Meh. Now, Darwin Núñez is a really weird one for me. I've spoken about him quite often on my podcast. The podcast is called Bucket Sam Talksport Podcast. Go check it out. Give it a 5-star review as well if you haven't already. Darwin Núñez is a really weird one, and I think it's got a really weird kind of look. For some reason, everyone kind of says Darwin Núñez and gives him a lot more time. And any other player that's signed for that amount of money, there'd be so much slander, but for some reason everyone says, "Oh, he'll come good," or "He's chaos" and things. If this guy signed for any other team in the Premier League, a bottom half of the table striker, you just go, "Yeah, he's a bit frustrated. He's not good enough in front of goal," and that would be that. But for some reason, we give him so much more praise and talk, and we compliment the fact that he's so rash in front of the goal and erratic. So yeah, we're going to whack him in Meh. He's simply not good enough for me. Next, got Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Now, Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well should go in Meh. Another player that's really frustrating. I think the real annoying thing here is with Dominic Calvert-Lewin is we remember that half season under Ancelotti where I think he bagged 15 plus goals. We've never really seen the kind of same level of output or even close to that or even just a flicker or even just a little moment where we could just see that he still has that. He's a very frustrating player that you always want more from. I know his contract's up at the end of the season as well. It looks like he's going on a free. He's just a player that I really want more from, and I'm intrigued to see where he kind of goes next. Is it Everton that's not working or is it him? I don't know. But for now, we're going to whack him in Meh. Next, we have got Liam Delap. Now, Liam Delap, is he decent or is he unreal? We'll whack him in decent for now. A player that's really excited me and a player that I've had to eat humble pie on. I really didn't think he was good enough last season when I saw him in the Championship, especially when he played for Hull and he's played for Stoke as well. I've seen him play there. For me, whenever I watched him, I never thought he was good enough. I didn't really understand it. There was a lot of like praise with him as a player. A lot of people were very excited at Manchester City about him. They got a really decent fee for him, and then Ipswich signed him. I thought, what on earth are they doing? But this guy's been an absolute joke this season. Really refreshing to see a young English striker coming through the ranks and kind of really dominating the Premier League, which is the way he has done. He's single-handedly kind of really pulling Ipswich through a lot of games. Like just for example, the Fulham game that's just gone by on Sunday, he was absolutely incredible in. So he's the kind of player that I really do like, and I think he really should be playing for a bigger and better side. I'm quite excited to see what kind of happens with his future. Next, we've got Dominic Solanke. I'm I'm going to put him in decent as well. Another player that gets a lot of slander, and I think a lot of people like to really talk about his fee. But what you get with him, he's kind of a system player, and I think he really suited Bournemouth's system. And I think he's also really suiting as well. Sorry, I just had an email come through. He's also really suiting Tottenham Hotspur. The pressing from the front, occupying defenders, and winning the ball back in that final third. And he's got a lot more mature as a player. I found because a lot of the time when he was at Bournemouth, he kind of was pressing players for pressing sake, whereas now he kind of really looks like he's honed that craft, and I really like him. And again, he really suits the system and brings some other players into play. So yeah, him and Kulusevski have been incredible for Tottenham this year. So we're going to whack him in decent. Next, we've got Evan Nilsson. Evan Nilsson is a player that I'm going to whack in the bottom of decent, and I can't imagine there's going to be anybody below him in decent. I think he's just gone into decent. A player that I really do like, and again, he's very similar to Solanke. He's kind of he was Solanke's replacement. They paid a massive fee from him from Porto, and he scored quite a few goals this season. Good return for his first season. I know he's just got an injury, which is a real shame because I've been really enjoying watching him play. But what I really like about him is again his pressing and his work rate, but also the fact that in similar to another player like Duran, he kind of just seems to be really confident player where he just takes shot for absolutely no reason, which is kind of in the modern game you don't see of as much. And it's the same with John Duran. I'm going to whack in just above him now. We'll talk about these two players because they're two players that aren't similar to many other players in the sense of we talk about the fact that in the modern game and in the modern era of football, we talk about football being a percentage game and all the chances and moments, and you kind of that's why we've seen so many goals now where players drive down the byline and drag the ball back and then somebody taps it in. It's all a percentage game, but these two players seem to take a lot of risks. And yes, they can be quite frustrating at times, but I think that's really exciting to watch in the modern game. And I really like the both of them. But we'll talk about John Duran now as well. John Duran is a player that I really like and one that he showed glimpses last season when we thought, oh, okay, this guy could be decent. And then obviously the whole kind of saga with West Ham and things like that. It was a bit of a toxic moment. You thought, is he going to really work out at Villa? But he's been absolutely incredible at times for Aston Villa this season. He's kind of even knocked Ollie Watkins off his spot as the main man at times, but I really like him, and I think again a really exciting player for the future to see what kind of really comes from him because you don't really know. Again, that's because he's so raw, which is what kind of really excites me and what makes me want to go out my way to watch him. So yeah, we're going to whack him in decent for now, and I think he could get to unreal, definitely in his career because again he's still so young. Next, we've got another young striker. We have got Evan Ferguson, who I'm going to whack in Met. I'm going to put him above Darwin Núñez, but below Awoniyi. Now people may disagree with me on this, but I think a lot of this down now is the fact that we've not really seen much of him, and this is the problem. Everyone seems to like to talk about how great this guy is, but we never get to see him now. We saw him a couple of years back at Everton, at Brighton. He scored a couple of goals, and then he's just kind of fallen off the face of the planet. Yes, I know he had some injuries, but he's never been able to break back into the team, which for me is quite a worrying sign. That there's quite clearly a player there, but just not at the minute, and we haven't seen it. So I can't put him higher just off the basis that we saw him for half a season. Do you get what I'm trying to say? This is where I just want to see more. Maybe he gets loaned out or something like that. We just need to see more of him this season. Next, we've got Gabriel Jesus, a very underrated player. I'm going to put in the bottom of decent, above Evan Nilsson though. And for me, this is a player that you know exactly what you're going to get from him. Yes, he's probably not the most clinical in front of goal. Yes, I know he scored 5 goals against Crystal Palace in 1 week. That's unheard of. But you know exactly what you're going to get. He brings so many other players into play, a very technically gifted footballer, and he can do a decent role towards the front line for any side. And there's a reason why he played for Manchester City and Arsenal. He's a very good player, but for some reason, there's this weird narrative and kind of look because he can't get 20 plus goals in a Premier League season. But there's not many players in this entire list that I believe can do that. So yeah, he's kind of got weird narrative. I think he's kind of underrated in my opinion. Next, we've got Cody Gakpo. I'm going to whack him in unreal. This season, he's kind of got to the heights and we've got to see the player that we all knew was there, kind of we've all heard of. A player that's really exciting. I really like him in this Arnie Slot team, and I know he's kind of played everywhere across the front three, but kind of suits the left a bit more so, like both of these players in Unreal. But this season he's been absolutely incredible, finishing wise, been very, very efficient as well. But also the fact that he's also a bit more of a provider as well. I really like him. Next we've got Højlund. I'm going to whack him in okay. A player that I feel like again, it's really difficult to kind of decide what you feel on these Manchester United players because there is so much going on. It's so toxic. They're always in the media, and kind of this player because of the fee and things. He's still very young, but I still see moments where he looks like an okay player. So I'm going to whack him in okay for now. Maybe he can get to decent in the future. I don't know, but I just don't think it's a great place right now for Manchester United players at the minute. Like you don't, it's not a good place for players to grow and to progress and things. So there's a really weird kind of time at the minute, but I do like him, and I think again, moments before his injuries and things, he's looked like an okay player. And we'll carry on that kind of narrative. I know I'm skipping the order here, but you know what this channel's like. Xerxes, I'm going to whack him in Get Out. I think it's best for him as a player. This is nothing down to his ability because, again, I quite like him. He's shown moments, especially like against Fulham at the start of the season, when he kind of plays as a bit of a second striker where he drops in deep and he kind of creates a bit of a problem, whether it be for the holding midfielders or the centre back. It's like who kind of takes him up as a man. He's a very good second striker. I like him, but I just think for his sake, he needs to get out of the Premier League just purely because I don't think he can come back at that young an age to be booed off the way he was and cheered, sorry, when he got taken off. You saw what it did to him, and I hope he can come back, but I just don't think it's the right place for him at Manchester United. So for his sake, I want him to get out of the Premier League. Next, we've got Isak. Isak is on the cusp of world class, but we're going to whack him in the top of unreal for now. A player that I absolutely adore. You know exactly what you're going to get from him. One of the best dribblers in world football, in my opinion. The ball just sticks to his foot. But this season, like, he didn't start the season too well, but he's kind of been a massive part of this regeneration in form and this integral part of this Newcastle side that have been an absolute joke recently. That the side that have gone, I think it's 7 wins now on the bounce. Only them and Forest. I think them and Forest are the most informed teams, along with Atleti, in Europe. This guy has been an absolutely incredible player this season, and I think he can get to world class level. We just need to see us for a little bit more consistency because that's the problem. He does drop off every now and then. He has blows hot and cold, so we're going to whack him in unreal for now. Next, we've got Raul Jimenez. Now, Raul Jimenez for me goes in the top of okay. No, he doesn't. He goes at the bottom of decent. Now, for me, Raul Jimenez is a player that I used to really enjoy watching play for Nuno Espirito Santos at Wolves, and obviously had that horrific injury, and then never really seemed to come back from that. But this season at Fulham, he's shown that he can still do it. He's been absolutely incredible for them this season. A player that has kind of he's kind of taken Muniz kind of out of his role because Muniz, everyone thought this guy was going to be decent, but there, Raul Jimenez is a class striker, and there's a reason why he's the Mexican top goal scorer in the Premier League ever. He's a very good striker, so I really like him. Next, we've got João Pedro. João Pedro, I'm going to put in the top of okay. Now, hear me out on this one because this might offend a lot of people. A lot of people really like this player. For me, he's a real hot and cold player. I want to see him do it more often. Now, quite clearly, there's a player in there, and I know he's had a lot of injuries and things, but there's so many games where he just really frustrates me. And obviously, he's a leader as well. He's captain 2 Premier League sides in Watford and Brighton. But I just want to see this kind of consistency now because, again, at the start of the season, he looked incredible, had the injury. Then he struggled to come back. And then again, kind of, he's and ahhing whether he's a decent player. Like, I know it's in there. I just want to see it more often. Hence why I'm going to put him in at the top of okay, like slash the bottom of decent. But I don't want to fill out the decent level too much. Next, got Diogo Jota. We're going to whack him in the bottom of unreal. Now, I really like him. Again, this is the only reason why he's not higher up in unreal and why he's not in decent, because he's better than all these strikers below him. But the problem is he's injured quite often. So that's the only thing that I can put him down for, which is the why he's at the bottom of unreal. Next, we've got Kai Havertz. Now, Kai Havertz is a really weird one and one that I kind of and ah with, and I change my opinion on him all the time. But we're going to whack him in decent because you know exactly what you're going to get from him. He occupies defenders, brings other players into play, kind of ruffles a lot of feathers, and he's a good number 9. Like, Arsenal, I don't think is the biggest problem for them is their number 9s. Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus are both good strikers, but for some reason there's a weird narrative around them both that they need to replace them. I feel like they need to replace other players, maybe get some more centre mids in there, get a new left mid. That's my opinion, but yeah, I like Kai Havertz. I think he can do. He has always got a role. Next, we've got Nicholas Fulkrug. He's got to go in okay. Yes, he's had a few injuries, so we know there's a player in there, but it's a Premier League tier list, so I can only whack him in okay. I probably should whack him in lower, but we all know what he's like, and you've seen he scored a couple of goals this season, and he's only had a couple of chances when he's come on since his injury, and every time he comes on, he seems to take his chances, so you know exactly what you get from him. Next, we've got Mateta. Definitely in the top of okay. Another player I do really like. You know exactly what you're going to get from him. You're going to get at least 10 goals a season, and that's the thing. He's not kind of your best strikers. I know he got links absolutely everywhere when he went on that crazy run, but he's a decent striker, and that's the thing. I think he fits into this category quite well. Like, all of these players here, you'd be happy with having as a striker. These are the kind of players that clubs want to get in your decent level and unreal. But I think okay are just your standard Premier League strikers that are just okay. So that's what I think Mateta screams. Next, we've got Mbeumo. Mbeumo has to go in unreal. This guy has been an absolute joke, and I can't get over just how good he's been, because everyone spoke about the fact that Ivan Toney is leaving Brentford, and can they move on without him? Yes, of course they can. This guy has been absolutely incredible this season. Absolutely incredible. I am obsessed with him. He scores all types of goals, and this guy is exactly what a club like Man United or somebody needs at the top. He needs to be at a better level. No disrespect meant there on Brentford, but this guy is one of the best forwards in the Premier League, and anyone needs time. Him and Visser should be playing at a higher level, in my opinion. Next, we've got Muniz. Muniz goes in meh. Again, he showed little glimpses. He had a good run last season, but bar that, we've not really seen anything from him. And again, this season, he's not been decent. There's a reason why Jimenez has taken his place back as Fulham's number nine. No, I know Muniz is actually their number nine, but you know what I mean, as in their striker. Next, we've got Nicholas Jackson, who I am for real. He's got to go in unreal, just below Mbeumo. I think he's a real reason, because everyone likes to talk about Cole Palmer being the best player at Chelsea, but I also think he's closely followed. He's been absolutely incredible for them, and kind of the fact that they've got players like Nkunku and they were linked with Osimhen and all of that, those links will have died down now because people will have just seen how good this guy is. And again, it's a really weird narrative because for some reason everyone seems to praise Darwin Núñez for his chaotic kind of behaviour, but then people talk about that Nicholas Jackson's quite frustrating because of it. It's a very weird narrative. I like Nicholas Jackson. He's a provider. He's a goal scorer. And again, he's similar to John Duran and Evan Nilsson and players like that, where they've kind of got something in them where they'll do something crazy, which is so unorthodox and so brilliant to watch. So yeah, we're going to whack him in there. I really like him. Next, got Eddie Nketiah. Needs to get out of the Premier League. I think it's incredible that Arsenal got 30 million for this player. He's simply not good enough. No disrespect to Nketiah. He's still yet to get a Premier League goal for Crystal Palace, which is absolutely crazy. And it's not like we said it. We spoke about it before that he wasn't good enough for the Premier League. We want to see him do well. Obviously, English striker. I'm pretty sure he's either the top goal scorer for England under 21s or the second top goal scorer behind Alan Shearer. The guy has quite clearly got an eye for goal, but it's just not working out. I think he needs to get a move elsewhere. Next, we've got Erling Haaland, goes in world class. I don't think it's even a discussion. We'll leave it at that. I'm not even explaining it. Everyone knows why. Yes, he's dipped in form slightly, but he's still scoring goals. So I'm leaving it at that. Next, we've got Heung-min Son. So we're going to whack him in unreal. You know exactly what you're going to get from him. One of the best finishers I've ever seen in the Premier League. I do really like him in front of goal. And I think the only chance I can ever think of that he's missed is that Manchester City chance right at the end of last season where Arsenal fans wanted him to score that goal to stop them from winning the title. But yeah, bar that, you know what you're going to get from him. He's clinical now. He's arguably one of Tottenham's best ever players in the Premier League. Personally, I think he's so consistent, and you know exactly what you're going to get from him. Next, Richarlison, we'll whack him in meh. A really frustrating player that I'm just still not sure what his attribute is because when you look at the OKs above here, all of these players you can see one attribute that they bring. Richarlison, I don't know what his best attribute is, and you think about the amount of money that's been spent on him and the fact that he can still never consistently stay fit and be that number nine for anyone. That's why I think he's got to go in there. A very frustrating player that you always want to see more from. Next, we've got Jamie Vardy. We're going to whack him in decent, and he's crazy considering his age, just how well he's been doing so far this season, and I really like him. You know exactly what you're going to get from him, and the fact that still at this age he's still occupying and causing problems for defenders. You think about when Leicester played Arsenal, he's creating problems for Saliba and things. I still think he's a great player, so we'll whack him in decent. Next, we've got Ollie Watkins at the bottom of unreal for now. I know a lot of people go, what on earth are you thinking? Yes, he's had a slight dip in form, but he's still got a few goals this season, a few assists. You've got to think about how good he's been now consistently for a couple of seasons. I think his confidence is just slightly down at the minute because of John Duran, but I think he'll come good. I think he will get to see the player that we once saw in Ollie Watkins. I really like him as a player. Next, we've got Danny Welbeck. We're going to whack him in okay. Can really go anywhere in okay. We'll just whack him there. Consistently scoring goals every single season now. He's not going to be kind of your decent level strikers where he's going to provide 10 plus, 15 plus, 20 plus goals, but you know what you're going to get from him. He occupies defenders, does the roles of number nine really well, and it's simple as that. That's what these OK are. These no nonsense strikers that you just kind of you can rely on to just do a job. Next, we've got Chris Wood. We're going to whack him in unreal. This guy's been an absolute joke this season. We speak about him all the time on this channel and have done as well on the podcast. You know exactly what you're going to get from him. The guy is an absolute joke. The amount of goals he's scored this season is incredible, and consistently he's getting over 10 plus goals every single season. But this season he's just the Nuno man. You can just see it works so well. It's just get the ball into him in that box, and you know he's going to score. But there you go. That is my brutally ranking every Premier League striker for this season. Please comment down below your thoughts. Please do smash the like button. Please do subscribe because we're on a mission to get 15,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. That's my mission. Can we do it? Who knows? But please smash the like button and please do subscribe. And I will see you guys very soon for another video. Thank you and goodbye.